Now I am building a miniatures game, and for that I need miniatures. I can draw myself. I have a background in graphic design. That's what I went to uni for. I went to an art uni to study that, but I do not have a background in sculpting. This is the one part of the game where I'm going to need to hire someone to do it for me, because this is the one crucial piece that I need help with. Welcome back to Lizard of Doom. I am Max, and this is a bit of a different episode. I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be looking at my computer screen here so I know what I'm on about while I'm talking to you, and we're going to go through my process of finding the perfect sculptor for this miniatures game and have a look at the not so perfect ones along the way. One did send me death threats, so that's great. Remember to do a like and a subscribe. Tickle that little button. Thank you very much. Making this game out of pocket means that obviously I cannot afford the Games Workshop Sculptors 30, 40, 50 grand a year salary. But it does mean that I need to find another option. So I want these miniatures to be good. Of course I do. I'm making a miniatures game that I'm passionate about. These need to be good. But I also need to keep them cost effective and within my budget. There are 4 factions currently in this game with 10 miniatures per faction. That's 40 miniatures. That can get quite costly. So what I think I'm going to do is to produce 2 factions for the start of the game, and then the next wave will have the other 2 factions. And then I start filling them out from there, which seems to be like a reasonable idea for how to get this game going in a way where hopefully once the first lot are out, it'll start paying for itself to be produced and I won't have to pump my own money in it. Maybe it won't be profitable, but it will be paying for itself, which is good. Now, to do this, I am going to need cost-effective sculpts, so I'm going to need them as cheap as possible, but as high quality as possible. So I thought I would start at the very bottom, the bottom of the barrel, cheapest sculpts I can get, see if I'm going to be scammed, or if this is going to be a diamond in the rough I find. Let me tell you, it's not. It is not a diamond in the rough I found. It is a scammer. For the first 3, I'm giving them the same miniature to sculpt, so we can compare them and see different people's styles and what different price points mean for the same thing. This is my own original art of Skid. This is what they're going to be sculpting. This is just quite a cool punk with some interest there with the flames coming off the edge of the bottle. This will be a little bit of a challenge for newer sculptors, so we'll see what they've got to offer. So the first one is Fiery D, advertised at £75. Immediately upon me inquiring to hire them, they begged for it to be put up to £100 because of some lie about Fiverr charging them a fee. Fiverr probably does charge them a fee, but they then wanted me to cover the fee after they'd already had. Put that in your price at the start. Put that in your price. So this first one ended up costing me 102 quid after the price bump immediately. I thought that, it's cheap. It's a lot of work to do a sculpt. Fiery D cost me 102 quid to book, and this is what they advertised with. These images are amazing sculpts. This is what they advertised with on Fiverr. So I went through all of these, thought this is an unbelievable deal, if true. If true is the key word here. So after 5 days worth of working time, this is what they gave me.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way, yeah.
Not quite what I was expecting based on the sculpts, but this is, when you book a project on Fiverr, there's points where you can make changes. So this was our first point, and my first point was, what is this? This, compared to your other sculpts, I know there's a process and it's not going to look pretty to start with, but this is not good. And I would like to cancel this order, please, because this is not what you advertised. If you are at this stage in sculpting and you are learning to sculpt, amazing, stick with it. They have obviously learnt the program, but what they have not learnt is human proportion, physiology. They haven't learnt the artistry behind it. And that's something that comes with time and reference and practice. So if you're at this stage sculpting, amazing, do not advertise with this. This is a scam. So I asked to cancel this, and then they refused because they can do that. I said, no. You've misled me here with what you've advertised me with. And I would like to cancel. They still said no on the second cancel. And then 5 minutes after they sent me the original work, they sent me this. Now this is my original character concept design put through an AI to look 3D. They then claimed that this was their sculpt. Only 5 minutes after the original wanky one. A scam. So what I did then was said, I'm going to contact Fiverr. You are falsely advertising your services. Please do not do this again. And we'll leave it at this. They said, no. I'm not cancelling the order. I will get my money. I'm sorry, brother. You ain't getting it. You lied. So what I did then was probably what I should have done first. And it was a reverse Google image search, which turned up a bunch of pages where apparently their artwork was listed under different people's names. And then I sent them this evidence and said, look, cancel the order. I'm going to contact Fiverr with all of this and you're going to get banned for false advertising. And then they said, let me find the screenshot a second. You go soon die, bro. Just try me and see. Oh, sound. A death threat. So I did contact Fiverr. Their account got shut down. And they got IP blocked because during our conversations, they stupidly told me that they have multiple accounts that they're running this scam from. So that one was a bit stressful, but that was my 70 quid bar that actually cost 102 quid. So we're going to double from the 75 quid to 150 to see if we can find a reasonable deal at 150. It's still incredibly dirt cheap. I like unbelievably cheap to get a sculpt for 150 quid. So we're going to try and have a look if that's any good. But first, a message from this week's sponsor. Regular viewers will recognize these crates from Only Games. They are a consistent sponsor on this channel, the fantasy, the sci-fi, and their new one. Now the fantasy and sci-fi contain 3 grey 3D printed minis that you get every single month from their creator of the month. These are fantastically detailed, amazing proxies for Warhammer or any fantasy game like D&D. These are amazing if you're a DM or if you're a player looking for some inspiration for characters. I personally do use one of these as my D&D characters in a game I'm playing at the moment. Now with the sci-fi, we have got 3 lovely miniatures that again you can use for proxies for 40k or Infinity or any sci-fi game that you feel like using from the creator of the month as well. And you do get a discount code with your box for that creator to buy more things if you want more to get more of a set of these miniatures. This is a fantastic deal at £15 a month. Now, the Only Games crate comes with this option. 1 3D printed, fully colour miniature. This is amazing for D&D, no painting needed, just get it on the table straight away. Get this in your campaign immediately. The link for these products is in the description below if you would like to check that out. That would help me out, thank you very much. And if you would like one of the grey crates, that's the 3 miniatures a month, use code LIZARDCRATE at checkout for your first month completely free. Thank you Only Games for sponsoring this video with your crates. Now the 150 Sculptor Avatar advertises with these images. So these ones are all kind of cross-sectioned weirdly like this, and that's a little suspicious to me. And then the rest of them are like this. So I thought, is this another scam? I reverse Google image searched these ones. Couldn't find anything online, so I went ahead. Seems like some decent sculpts in there. Let's have a little look what we can get. So at the 5-day mark where I can make changes to the design, they sent me this. Now there are a bunch of problems here. Number one, what I think they've done is used 2 stock sculpts. I think they've used one male one for the body and then giving it small boobs. And then I think they've used one female one for the head, slightly smushed its eyebrows to kind of match the vibes. The neck they've like pinched in to meet the new female head. So just to start with, that's not great. I made sure with these sculptors that they would be, sculpting from scratch, creating something completely new because this is my IP. This is going to be my company, my product. It needs to be completely mine when I've paid for the sculptor to do it. I don't want anything stock coming back to haunt me later that I haven't paid the rights for. And then the bits I believe that they have sculpted are this Batman cape-esque collar. I believe they've sculpted the bottle with the tiny, tiny neck. The boots have such a strange tread on them that they can't be stock, surely. Like there's a weird big tooth at the front of the boots. The badges they've decided to put under the boob. And the weird gloves that make the hands look like noodles. They've just kind of inflated a layer around the hands. So after I received this, I asked them, is this 100% your work? Because the quality of things doesn't match very well. The quality of, say, around the throat area, the Adam's apple and the face is quite high. However, not matching each other. And then things like the bottle and the boot tread and the earring, which was a punk safety pin, has now been turned into a strange hoop. It just kind of doesn't match. And then when I called them on that, they immediately cancelled the order. So there wasn't any arguing like the last guy, but they cancelled the order when I said, things aren't looking quite right here. So they, before getting rumbled even further, they cancelled it themselves. I think these images are their work, and they mostly use stock models and add bits to it, maybe from other stock models. I think that's what they do. They're more of a collage artist than a sculptor. And then with these images, I think they've taken pictures from other websites and set them up like this, edited it to look like this, so that you can't reverse image search the whole thing and it give you any other website. However, they've made one mistake which I've caught. This model in the middle here, they've accidentally left the whole model on and not cropped bits out like the rest of them, making it easy to screenshot around that area and then reverse image search specifically that model, which then leads me to this profile, which has all of the models from this. So, but it also has other stuff on there too. Why, if this is their profile on ArtStation, which I don't believe it is, the name is similar but not the same. It starts with the same first three letters, but I don't think it's them. Why would you have only a few of the sculpts from this profile across there? There are more sculpts on this profile. You'd have them on both your accounts, surely. I think they've found this sculptor's work, thought that's quite niche, I could nick that and no one's going to notice, but unfortunately not nicked it well enough. They've made one mistake and I've caught them. And then this is where this has landed us with this sculptor. Again, I believe, tell me if you think I'm wrong, I believe they've used false images to advertise. So with that, I was done with the cheap sculpts on Fiverr. I've been talking to different production companies about producing the resin miniatures and casting and all this kind of stuff. So I contacted one of them and said, do you guys work with a sculptor who has reasonable prices, who I could get to sculpt a miniature for my game as a test? Yes. I was emailed an email address for this very cryptic man named Pablo. And Pablo sent me a few bits of their work. Some of this stuff really nice, really detailed. I'm pretty sure this is all sculpted themselves. All the images match each other, which is something to look for, I've found when looking at sculptors, that this is all the same style. Like a bit wonky on the Benedict Cumberbatch helmet maybe on that one, but the other miniatures, some of the fantasy stuff, really nice. So I sent him the artwork. I said, do you want to do this project? He said, yes. Now the price of the last one was £150. The price of this one is €300 he charged me in, which is £255-ish. So it's a £100 jump from the last one. Pablo then accepted the challenge of taking on Skid, this character, which the other two sculptors were scammers, possibly. The first one definitely. Let me know what you think about the second one. This took a very long time. I hired them in November last year, and we finally reached the end February this year. So 4 months for one model. I already knew that this guy wasn't going to be the one. And at the end of the process, where we kind of made lots of changes and gone through it all and stuff, there was a massive gap, and I actually gave up on him and didn't think he was coming through with the model in the end, so I'd moved on by the time that he actually contacted me. Now, Pablo needed a lot of guidance. The original start was okay, the original blocking out, I could see that there was skill there. They had proportion, you know, they had something that the others didn't have. The face is a little cartoonish. I said, don't worry about, I like working your style, I want to see your style, don't worry about the illustrations that I've provided you with. That's just a general reference of what this character kind of looks like. I want your style. But they tried to stick to the style in the drawing rather than do the face like their other miniatures. I had said this to all of the sculptors along the way. This is my drawing style. The artwork will be redone once the sculpt is done, and it will be more based on the sculpts rather than just this drawing out of my brain. But I could see something in Pablo. There was a plan there, so then we made a fair bit of guidance along the way. I mean, every 3 or 4 days a little change was made, and then we ended up with this sculpt with the pose. Pretty happy with the pose, pretty close to the drawing of what the vibe was, the feel. Unfortunately, it was leaning back quite a lot, and I don't understand how you don't see this as a sculpt. Maybe it's like your own project, you've been looking at it for too long. But I don't understand how you don't see problems like that. So then I said, can we move the legs? Can we get a little bit more support? Yeah, sure. So we finally have got something that's looking a little bit like it can support its own weight. And then they asked for reference for the clothes. So I had to send them photos of clothes I found on the internet that were like a similar thing, like punk battle jackets, and he wanted photos of ripped jeans. Like, you have Google too, my guy. You can Google ripped jeans. But then we were finally getting there a little bit further. Looking good. The earring is still a safety pin, which is good. They have actually taken into account things that need to be taken into account for casting in resin, like the thickness of objects, like the bottleneck, so that doesn't snap. I already in my artwork put a flame coming off the middle finger so that middle finger wouldn't be too thin when casting if it's got fire coming off the back of the hand. So that works quite well. And in the end, we have pretty good. Like, I wouldn't be if I bought this as a miniature, I wouldn't be disappointed. However, it had come in so late and taken 4 months to do one person that it was unreasonable that I would hire them to do 19 more for this miniatures game release. It just, timescale wasn't going to be there, and they needed so much hand holding as we went to make things look reasonable and right that this wasn't going to be the way forwards. But £255, it's a good sculpt. It's a good sculpt for £255. The next sculptor. Now this is the one I'm going with. This one costs £450 per sculpt, which for a miniature sculpt ain't that expensive. It's not that expensive, but for your average person investing their own money in a miniatures game, when quite frankly, this is make or break now, this game has to work. That's a lot. When I need 20 sculpts done, that's a lot of moolah right there. Just a side note, if you want to help support this miniatures game, you can join the Patreon, and that would help a lot. If you did that, that would be great. Thank you. I'll put all my Patreons here now, actually. Here they are. This is my Patreons. You can join them. We're currently voting on the winner of our painting competition in the Discord on the Patreon. So if you join, you can cast your vote as well today. Now, the person I am hiring to sculpt all this is Dan from Blue Giant Studios. They've been recommended to me by Tom from Goblin King Games. Tom is the creator behind Moonstone. Now, I had a meeting with them around Christmas time where they walked me through a bunch of mistakes they've made, what they think I should be doing. They said everything I'd done so far was on the right path and I'd done all the correct things, which was really reassuring to hear. Tom was an absolutely sound guy, and he made a lot of good recommendations, including Dan. Dan from Blue Giant Studios has actually made an appearance before on the channel. When I went to the UK Gaming Expo last year, and I picked my miniatures of the expo that I bought, I actually bought their Etny big double-headed giant figure there that someone had cast and was selling there. So I knew this name in the back of my head, Blue Giant Studios, and I originally started to hire them for Skid to do the sculpt again because I'd given up on Pablo. But during like the first couple of days of talking to Blue Giant Studios, Pablo came through. So I had to switch with that sculpt that was okay. Like, it's a usable sculpt. Whilst talking to Dan, I changed lanes and got him to sculpt Blitz Baker. Blitz Baker is still a punk, but in D&D terms, he's a Dragonborn. I got to think of my own lore name for that because you can't just steal Dragonborn, but he is a dragon person. Perfect for these fire-starting anarchist punks. And I sent them this image, and very quickly they got back to me with this preliminary sculpt. It's a whole world different than the sculpts and sculptors I've been dealing with so far. This was mind-blowing. I couldn't not go with him after this, and he knew that the project was going to be multiple miniatures, so we've got them booked in now, and I'm working through paying for them, and this is the guy who's going to be making the miniatures for Union Jacked. So he was very knowledgeable as well about the casting process in resin. He's in contact with resin casters all the time, asking questions about stuff. He actually changed the design of the hair/fins piece on the top of Blitz Baker from all of these spikes that would be very difficult to cast to rather more of a thin spiky section, which would be a lot easier to cast. This is amazing. He also did Skid's face again for free to make it match the style that he'll be sculpting the rest of the faces in. So this is a really good little deal he's done for me there. Really nice of him to do that little touch. It's really nice working with a British person on this game as well, because this is an incredibly British game. It's based in alternate fantasy Britain, and the game starts in 1999. So it's really nice to have someone who's got these kind of cultural references that we can both pull from when we're talking about stuff, and that they understand the aesthetic of the game. Since then, I've booked a ton more sculpts in with them, and we have got a bunch of stuff we are working on. The Patreons have already seen this. As soon as I get something from Dan, I put it up on the Patreon. This is all stuff that we have really nearly finished, and this is the stuff that we are currently working through now. Now, at the end of this month, I will actually be getting my hands on STLs for the first time and be able to print all of these with all the changes we've done and all the stuff we've made since these photos, and I will be able to see my miniatures in the real world for the first time, and that is incredibly exciting for me. My brief, in not as many words, to the sculptors was: this is the artwork, this is my drawing style, just have a look at the characters and sculpt them in your style. I want to see what you can do, and Dan has done that perfectly, and now I am rematching artworks to these new sculpts. The game will probably go through multiple artwork iterations. I'm working on it, it's a work in progress, but the artworks I want to make match the sculpts, so when you look at artwork for the game, you know exactly what you're buying miniatures wise. So I'm really looking forward to maybe in another 4 months time making the next video on this project, where I can show you some 3D printed miniatures that are being ready for casting, and that I'm going to start doing the actual box art paint jobs on. This is kind of my passion. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to run this miniatures game Union Jacked. You can help me out by joining the Patreon, and stay tuned to this channel for little updates every now and then on this game and its process. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you check out Only Games Crates. The link is down below. Thank you for sponsoring this video. You only have a couple of days left to get this April crate, and then we'll be moving on to the next month. Leave a like for the like god and a comment for the algorithm throne. Remember, it is not a pile of shame. It is a pile of future fun. See you next time, kids. Peace.